In New York, you are 10 times more likely to be bitten by a human than by a shark. And that, my friends, is a fact of life. Thank you, and welcome to That's the Facts of Life, where we go through all the topics that matter to you and bring you just the facts. Today's topics include the SEC is outdone, the FCC stuns, and a wee bit of fun. Before we get there, though, we have a very special SEC naughty list. The SEC recently charged Goodyear for violating the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act when its subsidiaries paid bribes to land tire sales in Kenya and Angola. Goodyear agreed to pay more than $16 million to settle the charges, however maintained that they were just testing a new line of tires with bribe-driven technology. According to the SEC, the company failed to prevent or detect more than $3 million in bribes over a 4-year span. These bribes were generally paid in cash to various private companies, government-owned entities, and other local authorities, and then falsely recorded as legitimate business expenses, which were later consolidated into Goodyear's books and records. A member of the SEC's enforcement division said Goodyear's lax compliance controls enabled these corrupt payments to be hidden in their books, basically in plain sight. I mean, we've spent more time and resources trying to find Waldo and Carmen Sandiego. It appears Goodyear is now looking for a better way to move forward. In other news, the SEC commissioners recently decided that basic auditing rules won't apply to US-listed Chinese companies. Basically because the Chinese government said they don't want to. You may recall last year an SEC administrative judge ruled that these auditors were willfully violating US regulations and suspended them for 6 months. Well, the SEC commissioners caved under Beijing's pressure and decided not to suspend the Chinese audit firms or penalize them beyond the token $500,000, leaving investors without basic protection against Chinese fraudsters in a market which Chinese firms account for hundreds of billions of dollars. Perhaps the biggest threat in all of this, though, which endangers far more than Chinese stock prices, is their growing confidence that they can play by their own rules. China's official news agency said it best when they said, the SEC's decision proves that Chinese auditors are too big to ban. Something else that appears to have grown too big for its britches is the internet. Which is why the FCC recently passed its net neutrality rules, leaving many wondering, what is net neutrality exactly? Well, in essence, it's Al Gore's dream that ISPs should treat all internet traffic equally, and not be allowed to set aside fast lanes for favored content or highways to the danger zone. Many think net neutrality is a big reason the last 2 decades have seen such innovation and creation of online services like ICQ, iFindIt.com, GeoCities, Napster, AltaVista, and Ask Jeeves. They worry that without it, the internet would become a less hospitable place, barren wasteland, similar to Escape from New York or Night of the Comet. Opponents argue that new regulations could discourage beneficial innovations and investments in network infrastructure. They also think the FCC's reclassification could trigger regulations designed for public utilities, such as old-fashioned telephone services. In the end, one side is concerned that the FCC is overreaching by giving itself broad powers that could allow them to overregulate, opening the door for a future FCC commissioner similar to Anakin Skywalker. The other side is fearful of ISPs abusing their powers and their connections to other parts of the internet, usually found in the Beyond section of Bed Bath & Beyond, to create mischief. After all of this, though, one thing remains certain, and it's that the future of the internet is an uncertain landscape. Finally, FINRA gave the investment world a bit of fun news when it gave the go-ahead to Bitcoin Investment Trust to become the first publicly traded Bitcoin fund. This creation of a publicly traded Bitcoin investment vehicle is a huge step towards the digital currency's desire for mainstream acceptance. Bitcoin supporters are hopeful that regulated instruments will encourage investors to see them as more than those cute little coins from Super Mario Bros. And view them as actual currency you can hold in your hand. In the form of an electronic device, of course. Well, that'll do it for us today. To learn more about industry news, check out the Compliance Digest, or tune in to an all-new episode in 2 weeks. And in case you didn't know, Will Smith is now older than Uncle Phil was at the beginning of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And that, my friends, is a fact of life.